Welcome back to the show. I am so excited for my conversation today with Sam. So, Sam, I would love to have you start off by telling us who you are and what you do in the events industry.
Yeah, thank you. So Sam Eitzen, I'm the CEO of Snapbar. Snapbar is an experiential kind of tech company, if that makes sense. It's weird. We had our roots in traditional photo booths and then pivoted, and now we're a software company. And there's a lot more I could unpack. But yeah, we build like web-based activations for clients anywhere in the world.
Amazing. I literally had a joke about that today on LinkedIn. Someone was asking, we were talking about like AI in experiential marketing because of
Yeah.
the change in Allbirds and them going
Yeah.
AI. And I'm like, are they going to be AI shoes? Like, is that what we're doing? So, like, I've seen, I feel like as like event planners, sometimes we get tired of the trends before everybody else because
Yes.
we're like, we saw that
100%.
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like, tell me more
And
about what it is that you're doing. Like, I know from like AI experiential, I've seen like a lot of the photo booths. Like, oh, you're
yeah,
here's a photo of you on a mountain. Here's a photo of you
yeah,
like winning a marathon. Like all these things that I'm not going to do. So that need
yep,
to be
yep,
AI images. Like, what is that?
yep.
What does that look like on your end?
Yeah. I mean, it's some of that if the client insists, but a lot of the time it's custom and unique, right? And you probably relate because exactly right. We've seen these things 2 years ago. I can't tell you how many people those still come and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like we would love to turn attendees into superheroes." Like, has that been done yet? And it was like, "Oh yeah, oh, no, no, not at all. This is a brand new idea. Good." No, so we when we pivoted from a like an in-person logistics heavy event company during the pandemic, just to survive, we built a virtual photo booth. It was like what photo booths do, but for virtual events. Not a whole lot about it was super exciting. It was just like people wanted anything and everything that you could do at an in-person event for the internet for whatever the year and a
Yeah.
half that that was kind of like the only way we could meet. Um, that did really well for us. We were pretty quick. And for the most part, it was good. Like we were like, okay, this is interesting, but like when is the regular stuff going to come back? And as that grew and we realized, wow, like we don't miss all the event logistics that we used to have to deal with that any event planner, I'm sure would just like be like, yeah, that's the most stressful part of the job. We decided to double down. Today, it's like those are the roots. And of course, when AI came out, we layered that in. But at the end of the day, like what we try to offer clients is this like web-based microsite, like a custom website that houses their experience, which means that if they want to put it on an iPad, like a traditional photo booth, they can. But if you want to like scan a QR code and access on your phone, you can. If you want to do it for a virtual event, you can. It's very flexible. There's no apps to download. It's very logistics light, which was like a huge focus for us. And sometimes it's exactly what you said, which is like we've seen it all for a couple of years. Turn me into a superhero because we're launching this new product called whatever. But what we get most excited about personally, like, is when people can kind of co-create with AI. So I think that's like one of the most powerful use cases of AI is like have it like working with it to like be creative and to like express. So for example, I suck at drawing, right? I'm a really bad artist in that sense. But it's pretty incredible. Like I've done this a couple times. I'm not sure if you have like, or I've just like drawn on a napkin, taken a photo, uploaded it to Gemini, and like had it turn my napkin or like my paper drawing into like something worthy to show somebody. Like even if it's like a business graphic, it's like that's pretty wild. So yeah, we do traditional AI photo booth stuff if that's requested, but we do like one of my favorite experiences personally is like this, we call it stories, AI stories. And you basically tell a story, like you fill out a Mad Libs story with anything that you want. And it can be very interesting. And when you are like kind of co-creating with AI, I mean, it's effectively really fancy prompt injection at the end of the day. You're far more invested. In fact, I just posted about this linked to LinkedIn like a couple hours ago. The idea that like the IKEA effect, which is like when you are involved in creating something and you like it's some of your creativity has been poured into something, some of your like work has been poured into it. You're more likely to engage with it, share it, talk about it, remember it.
Yeah, that is true, right? Like people have that buy-in when they
Hmm.
they feel like they contributed and it's not just being like presented to them. So I'm
Yeah,
sure it's like kind of similar to like the AI songs I've seen
yeah,
at events like,
yep,
and it's funny you mentioned like drawing because I am also like a terrible drawer. Like it wouldn't even
yeah,
occur to me to like put it into AI because AI would be like, I mean, I know AI is generally like, you're doing a great job, honey, but like
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
be like,
yeah,
what is
exactly.
this, right?
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
think like it is interesting, and I've seen at events historically like people like drawing the event, right? And
Yeah,
so it would be
yep,
interesting to see how that could happen with AI, how you could
yeah,
bring that to life even further, right? Because
hmm
I do know that, and you mentioned drawing, but like I know from like various events that I've done that like drawing does actually like unlock something in your brain. Like it's
yeah,
different
yeah,
than writing, and it's different than like, because our brains are so weird,
yeah,
right? So it is interesting, and like everyone is looking for that interactive experience. Like, how do we get
hmm
people to our booth? How do we get people to stay
yep,
at the event, you know, beyond, and like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like we pick on photo booths, but like, it is like, okay,
No,
like
I do too.
360
I do
cameras
too.
back, right? Like,
Yep.
so
No, that's the biggest focus for us at Snapbar long term. I mean, wait, we still do photo booths because we literally started as a photo booth company. We were one of the largest
yeah,
traditional photo booth companies in the country. So, of course, it's hard to immediately abandon your roots. That being said, I'm actually pretty critical of like the traditional photo booth, even an AI photo booth thing. It's been done for a couple of years now. Like, let's switch
yeah,
it up. Now, I think that there are times and there are demographics that have not actually experienced. So, I mean, you are an event planner. You've seen it all for
yep,
2 years. It is actually genuinely new for some people. And I don't want to discount
yep,
that, right? Because like, and
sure,
it's cool to them. So if an event planner knows the demographic they're trying to reach or the client does, I don't know, something pretty traditional can work really well, which is why 360 photo booths are still around and they're going back to retro ones, et cetera, et cetera. So, but generally I actually side with you, which is like, it kind of is tacked on as this like, oh, check engagement is now done. Like we did
yeah,
it. Now everyone's going to get their thing. And I much prefer to think about it from like a truly like, how do you let people co-create? How do you bring them into this process? And how do you just kind of like thrill them or entertain them or surprise them a little bit? So one of these, it's like a concept demo. We do a lot of this. We like our Snapbar Labs team, where we're just like experimenting with stuff. I saw this camera, like a literal physical camera. It's not for sale at anymore, or it was, and they're like building a new version. I think it was 3D printed, and it uses AI. It's a cool side project that someone did, where you take a photo, and instead of it taking a photo, it spits out on like receipt paper a poem that AI wrote of what it saw. Like, yeah, I know. And I was like, that's weird. Like, what's the use case? But I was like, that's kind of cool too. Like, I mean, it's, at some point in events, you just want to try new things that gets people to be
yeah,
like, I'd never even thought of that. So we built yesterday a digital version of this where you open up it's a version of our kind of typical like platform where it opens up like on a mobile device, like a camera, you take a photo. But instead of you seeing like yourself as a superhero or any of the other products that we might do for a client, whatever they ask, it is literally just it kind of creates a 4-line poem or haiku on like a piece of parchment paper, and that's what it delivers to your inbox. It's not a photo of you, it's not a photo of the event, it's a poem about what was in the image. And I don't even know the event use case for that. Honestly, there might not be one. Sometimes we just create these lab concepts for fun. But I was like, that's cool. Like it was an interesting way to interpret an image, or and the drawing things we've done before. I did one again. Our labs team came up with this idea where it was like design your own like beer can or seltzer can, and
mm,
beyond like the name that I gave it. So it's like when you go through our experience, you give it, you come up with a name for your beer brand or your seltzer brand, all the stuff, and then you draw on like an iPad or your phone, like whatever it is, like a logo or something, and the output is like the name with this cool like brand on an actual can. It looks like a photorealistic can with your design, and I could totally see that actually being used by a beverage company as a fun engagement. It wouldn't even have to be an event. That could be like, I don't know, street side marketing in Newport Beach, California for some new like beverage company. I don't know. But it is interesting because like instead of me just taking a photo, waiting and seeing either me or me as a superhero or me as a soccer player, whatever, if I'm asked somehow to contribute and create, that's pretty interesting. And I think video is going to be a big frontier for this too. Like video is pretty good right now, but still mostly goofy and it kind of makes you look weird. But when it's really good, wow, like could I literally like script my own mini trailer like that I'm in? And I don't know, like, of course it costs money to do that, but like the way that our business works, right, is that the brand pays for it. And so you as an attendee
Right.
or a guest, like you do it for free, their branding is somehow in there. That's the trade, I guess. But that's really what Snapbar is focused on, is like, how do you enable people to be a little bit creative and express themselves? We tend to find that it's a little stickier that way than just kind of like, sweet, I did the photo booth. And I mean, the data is pretty compelling too. So
Yeah, and I mean, like I immediately think of when you're talking about the cans, like the Coca-Cola cans with the names
yeah,
on it. And as a
yeah,
Shenandoah, like I will never randomly find my name on a Coca-Cola can. Like that is my lot in life. But that
yeah,
also means that if you put my name on something, I'm obsessed. Like
yeah,
you
right.
got me. Like I'm sold. And I
Yeah,
also think of like years ago, and I think I even still have it in my drawer. This was like before COVID, like probably almost
yeah.
10 years ago. There's an event planner event in one of the booths was doing an activation where they were making notebooks where you got to
Yeah,
pick like the cover, you got to pick like was it lined or grid, and then they were just like bookbinding them on site. The lineup was insane. They ran out of notebooks, and I was thinking, I'm like, they're literally just assembling notebooks. Like the
yeah,
thing that
yeah,
we're always giving away, and people are lined up for them
yeah,
because again, like you said, it's like yes, you're like looking at it from the tech side, but it's really just that they got to participate. Like they got to
yes,
pick the cover they like. They got to
yep,
pick the paper that like like I love grid paper because I'm a bullet
yeah,
journaler, or I love
yeah.
line paper, and like I ended up because I was like really late getting there at mine's blank, and I'm like I'll never use this because what am I going to do with blank paper? But it was so cute that I
But it's
kept it
got
and I
my
wrote
name on
notes
it.
on
Yeah,
it.
that's
It's
cool.
got my
I
name
did something
on
like
it, right?
I did something really, well, not really similar to that, but same idea, really long line. I think it was like IMX, a Freeman kind of side event, and they were customizing really high end chopsticks. So
Hmm.
like this beautiful pair of chopsticks, a really cool tile that you kind of set them on, so that they're elevated
Yep.
off of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like table. And then what they were, so that was kind of fun where it wasn't total customization. You got to choose, but again, like you were involved in making that decision versus like them just like, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. You're like standing in a swag line, right? Versus
Yeah.
like you're getting to customize something. And then the final thing that you actually did customize was the bag that they put it all in. This cool little, like, it wasn't leather, it was like this fat, cool, high end looking fabric thing. And they were, a calligrapher was painting, like, a message, like really a name, but
Right.
it was really cool. It was like awesome. They absolutely like sold out. I mean, they weren't selling them, but like every single one was claimed. People didn't even get them. They were super bummed. So if is whether it's digital, using AI, not using AI, a real product, I think that principle is really powerful to like make sure that people somehow are invested versus like I sometimes pick on I don't know what your opinion is because I love coffee, but I sometimes pick on coffee activations, like really basic coffee activations at trade shows where like a brand or whatever will like think, hey, we should give away free coffee, which I'm all for. And I literally will stand in that line. But the affinity that the brand or the client creates with me is pretty low, to be completely honest. Like I'll stand in a thing, I'll get my latte, but no one talked to me. I was just on my phone the entire time, or sometimes I maybe strike up a conversation with someone in front of me, which is cool, but it's not related to the client that paid for all of this, right? Or the trade show booth that paid for it. Get my coffee, walk away. And other than like generally me remembering that I think Freeman did this at a couple shows, again, like, or Opus, or, who knows? Like, I don't even remember. Like, I think Columbia had,
Yeah.
of course, this at their booth. Like, there's just like, I'm just so not invested, other than I'm thankful for coffee, which again, maybe that's like the whole trick. But if I could, I don't know, if I literally, while I was standing in line, somehow was like decorating my cup, or I don't even know, like anything to make it a little bit more special. I mean, genuinely, I think I'd remember those things more. I know that's why they have like those. They'll print your photo on it or something on top of your
Your
latte.
face on
People
it,
take
and
photos of the face. Yeah,
my face has been on
so
so
many
many things I've done eating.
cocktails, coffee.
You know
But
what?
that's the idea. Like, why do they do it? It's because it's personal, right?
Yeah, and I think like the challenge, and like this is like a whole other episode, is like yes, you can have a great activation in your booth. You can have
Yeah,
whatever, like the lineup around the corner. But if your staff isn't trained on how to activate your activation,
100%.
right? Because
Yeah,
I too
that's a great
I
point.
am a latte. I literally have like an iced coffee right next to
Yeah.
me. I joke that I like my coffee to taste as little as coffee as possible. I will stand in the line for a latte because I don't want like just
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
coffee. And I've been there where it's like the sales rep's not talking to me, no one's
Yeah.
talking to me, and it's like that you need, yes, I can get people to the booth, but then I need you to activate on it. And I did an event
Yeah.
a few years ago where we did like an in booth party, and I've talked about this a
Hmm.
few times, but we did airbrush trucker hats. So like
Oh,
your
very cool.
name,
Yeah.
airbrush trucker hats, line up around the corner. But my sales reps were working that line. Like everybody tried, and we had drinks. Like we literally like made it into a little party for like two
That's
hours on the
awesome.
show floor. And it's like if someone is standing in line and you have not collected their information, like you all fail, right? Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got them
Agreed.
here, now go sell them
Yeah.
something, right? Like of course
Yeah.
not everyone's gonna be a proper lead and whatever,
No, of
but
course. Yeah.
tell me that you've engaged
Yeah.
with like the 200 people that we had come through
Yeah.
that booth
Yeah.
when you're always begging me to get the show floor busier. And they did work it, and it was like very
Yeah.
successful, and we had people
That's
coming
cool.
back the next day saying like, oh,
Hmm.
I heard the trucker hats are here. Oh no, sorry, they were only here for a little
Yeah.
time. Like, okay, now let's talk about what we actually
Yeah.
want to talk to you about, right? But I
That's
think
cool.
there's like a challenge of, like you said, like the check mark of like, okay, great, we took the picture, we posted it on Instagram, we're in
Yeah.
booth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000, like
Yeah.
with our coffee
Yeah.
activation, but nobody's actually
Yeah.
activating those conversations in the line is like a huge missed opportunity. And I'm sure
Yeah.
like
Agreed.
you see it too of like, okay, great, you invested in photo poetry or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
nobody's actually putting in the work to
Right.
convert those people, then you just
Yeah.
had a very expensive
Yeah.
poem.
Yeah. That's funny actually, because I both completely, from a business perspective, I'm like, yeah, 100%. That's your answer. I will say, to be honest, we capitalize on this. In that, like when I sell to an event marketer or like some CMO or whoever for like a whole bunch of trade shows, one of the things that they're paying us for is the fact that our software via like captures the lead, right?
Yeah.
It's this trade. And I'm like, hey, I'll sell that all day. It is a great feature of what we do. It's maybe the number one selling point for like our biggest clients. But are they like saying that because technically their sales teams are not like doing the work? Like actually, yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of like the warmest lead you could get. Or no, sorry, not warmest. Well, it's not cold, but it's pretty warm. It's not hot, right? Like
Yep.
you don't know. It
Yep.
could be someone's actually interested. It could be they just wanted the photo or something like that.
Yep.
It's a great fallback if you literally have no plan. The downside, I mean, I don't know, someone should capitalize on this, but like, how come they don't capture my email in exchange for coffee? That feels like the least they could do, and then put me on their marketing list and maybe I subscribe. But like at least, deliver something. So a big selling point too is that I talk to clients about. I was like, well, our email rates get 95% open rate. Now we're not saying like a whole series of emails. The one email that contains the photo has very high open rate. So
Yeah.
you get to customize it and say something in it, and the more interesting you say, the more interesting thing you say, or the more incentive you give them to engage, post it, share it, whatever, the higher the engagement, the higher the reach, etc. So yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think that if salespeople did the job, like, or like booth people, like really were focused, you wouldn't need like all these lead capture mechanisms, but they do, and we
Yeah.
sell it,
And
I guess.
well, I think it's, I mean, you do, like, you kind of need both, right? Like,
Yeah,
because
I
like,
agree.
yeah, you're facilitating the collection of the email, that email that's going to go out afterwards, like, has obviously like more
Yeah,
engagement because it's a thing people were expecting, they're looking forward
yeah,
to it, it's not just another sales email. But I think
right.
it's that, again, it's having a strategy that ties it all together versus,
Yeah,
great, we've got this cool activation in the booth, but you know,
hmm,
no one's talking to people, no one's engaging them, like no one, like,
yeah,
because it's the cool thing that they've opened the email for, but then it's also all of the conversation around it, right?
yeah,
And like,
yeah,
you see it at booths all the time of like I'll just look at a booth and I'll be like, those people are so disengaged, like
yeah,
they almost like are like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
whether they realize it or not, because of the way that they're standing, because of the way that they're looking at their phones, they're behind a table, like whatever that like
yeah,
barrier is. So I think
yeah,
like, yes, it facilitates it, and you would need some kind of lead capture but it's also like, okay, how are you talking to people? It's like you're giving them the easy opener, right? Of
Correct.
not
Yep.
just like where are you traveling in from? It's have you done your poetry thing? Have you done that?
Yeah.
Like have
Yeah.
you done that, right? And like, I work with a brand where we do like a lot of give back activations, and so it's like, have you had a chance to plant your tree yet? Okay,
That's
now
cool. Yep.
we're talking, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
think it's that conversation starter for
hmm
everybody, right?
Have you found, out of curiosity, that when you're planning events, so like there is this other aspect of, I think, kind of photo systems, et cetera, whatever they look like, that people bring in simply to communicate at like a high level beyond just the engagement they want to get, that like we do interesting things, or we're creative, or we're innovative, or look at this new tech. There's this element of like, so when we first released our AI photo booth, it was gangbusters. Like it did
Right.
really well. Why? Because everyone wanted some aspect of like AI. And that's typically true in events. I mean, events are very good at like being creative and kind of like, oh, I don't know about starting trends, but I wouldn't be surprised if like events have started tons of trends, like where, because planners are so incentivized to like make something unique that kind of surprises people, that makes people want to take a picture or talk, etc. How big a part of that, or how big is that for you, out of curiosity, in your like planning process? Is just like the new factor?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is your brand, right? Like
Mm,
it depends on the client. So I would say they're, using that example of the big Toronto event
yeah,
for event planners event. I know the brands that kind of do the exact same thing every single year. And I know that
yeah,
I'll get my coffee from them, or I'll get my parasol, or whatever their like, whatever their like thing is, has been their thing
yeah,
for 10 years and will probably
yeah.
be their thing for 10 years. But then you also start to know the brands that you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. Like I can't wait to
Mm,
see like what
yeah, interesting.
what they've designed this year, or what their giveaway is, or what their entertainment is, because they're always like bringing it to the next level.
Yeah,
And
makes
I
sense.
think that like a lot of the companies I've worked with, it is like, okay, well, we did that last year, so what are we gonna do next year? And like I
Yeah.
often joke that like people are asking, I'm still tearing down this year, and people are like, well, how are you gonna beat this next year? And I'm like, can I get the stuff back in the boxes first? Like, and then I can worry about that, right? Like there is a lot of pressure in the industry to keep like one upping it. And I think like, we started the conversation talking about the knowing your demographics and knowing them really well. Like there are
Yeah.
some industries that I know like that they're basic events. You put a basic activation in and they're going to go crazy for it because
Yeah.
no one else in the industry is doing it. But then in
Right.
events, I think like obviously
Yeah. True.
that's where events go to learn from each other, and
Right.
that's why we go to see it. And like, you hear about it about like big tech companies, right? Like what
Yeah. Yeah.
activation, like CES is like kind of it starts the year off of like what are they doing and how is that
Yeah.
activating. Cans is
Yeah.
one of the ones like,
hmm
what are the like there's kind of the like the trend setters
Yeah.
that
No.
people kind
Totally.
of
Yeah.
follow, right?
Yeah. I try to
And
read
I
about South by Southwest as
yes.
well. Right. Like they're great. March time for, yeah.
Yeah, and there's like certain
Interesting.
companies that I think that like event planners look to for that
Yeah.
inspiration. And like
Interesting.
I was talking with a friend yesterday who owns a catering company in Toronto, and he's really trying to come up with like new and different things to bring to catering. But we were talking about like how you can look at an event photo of a donut wall and be like, that's 2018. Like I know that like that is
Yeah.
2018, like the
Yeah.
champagne wall through the
Yeah.
grass,
Yeah.
2024. Like you just know, right?
That's
And
so
like
funny.
you can kind of get away with different you can kind of get away with bringing those trends later to certain industries. And I
Right.
have heard, and I don't know if there's like any anecdotal like actual evidence on this, but I've heard like trends usually kind of start in Asia and then move
hmm
through Europe and then get to North America. So usually like by the time North America is doing it in an event,
Yeah.
like Asia's already
Yeah.
on to like the next
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah. In the world of photo stuff, that rings true to a certain
Yeah.
extent. There are certain trends in like Japan and stuff that I think have not caught on here yet still. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
super
like
interesting.
that's why like a lot of event planners like who
Mm,
do global events or have the budget are like, I try to go to events in Europe, in
Yeah.
APAC, because like one, you're just gonna see different things that
Yeah,
even
totally.
maybe it's
Yeah.
things that we did a few years ago, but is now just kind of catching on there, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just trying to stay constantly inspired. And then
Yeah.
what's also funny, and like I know like you're in tech, but also this like move back to analog on some things
Yep.
of people are talking about
Huge
we're just
focus.
coming off the masters, right, of like leaving your phone at the door, like how are
Yeah.
we like kind of reconnecting and re-engaging on like
Yeah.
an analog side when we feel like there's so much digital going on.
Pinterest just did that at Coachella.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
took people's phones away
Yeah.
before the activation. Pretty wild. I just was reading about that maybe on BizBash or something. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, super interesting. No, and I love that. Funny enough, my labs team, well, this is not real analog, but it's interesting. I mean, we do what we can. We're a tech company, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we're
of
tech.
course.
But that being said, the poem idea of like making sure it's on parchment, or even they created an analog looking camera. So it makes your entire phone interface look like a super old school camera where you can like flick little dials and it like you take a photo and it applies this like vintage film grain effect. And will we sell it? Who knows? It doesn't really matter to us. We're constantly trying to
For
be
sure.
creative because that's what inspires our clients. But it is interesting. We love those ideas. And I do think that actually is going to be a huge, it's actually why I'm pretty bullish on events in general over the long term,
Yeah.
because it is the quintessential analog piece, right? Like we're talking, it's great, it's real life, but it's digital. Like
Yep.
it'd be even more powerful if we were in a studio together, I'm sure, right? Like, and
Absolutely.
so I love being in events because I can't see them. I don't know. I can't see them ever slowing down. And by the looks
No.
of it, regardless of macroeconomic situations, like it just seems like they're getting more and more attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, perfect place to wrap it up there.
Yeah.
This has
Yeah.
been so much fun. Like I do think like what's coming next in the industry is exciting because yes, like everything or so much goes digital, people are going to be looking for those in-person experiences, but also
Yeah.
how are we going to up personalization and that experience for
Right.
attendees on site? That's going to give
Hmm.
them an even better in-person experience.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Well,
It's
thank
great
you
speaking
so
with you.
much for being here. Tell us
Yeah.
where we can find out more about you and if we want to
Yeah.
connect with you further.
Well, I'm Sam Eitzen on LinkedIn. That's probably the one platform I'm most active on. And then snapbar.com is our website. Obviously, you can reach me through there too. But between those, that's really where I am. The
Amazing.
website and the social. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds great. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah. Thank you, Shenandoah.